My boyfriend baby-trapped me, took control of my finances and is using my baby as hostage. 3 years ago, I immigrated to Austria and met a guy at work, and we started dating. He came with the story that he had a vasectomy, so no babies, but tell that to my pregnant self a couple of months later. I felt really ashamed every time he told the story from the vasectomy to doctors or someone else. I felt like a cheater, but I never cheated. We decided to keep the baby, so then I was pregnant and unemployed, as I had only a temporary job when I arrived. I had saved a little money while working, and he said he would take care of everything during the pregnancy and that when the baby came, I would get childcare assistance from the country. We ended up moving to an apartment and everything looked good. He asked me to put the internet and cable bill in my name as he was paying everything else. Then, also a car and car insurance in my name. I agreed as he said he would pay for it, and he was putting a roof over my head. By the time the baby came, I was still thinking everything was okay, but then, we had stress about the citizenship. I wanted the baby to have dual citizenship, but until now, she only has Austrian, and he refuses to apply for the second. She is already 2 years old, I doubt he will agree to make it, I don't ask anymore. Then came the time for paperwork, and he said that it takes time for the childcare money to come. He had access to my account so that he could take care of it, or so I thought. I never got childcare money, and he never talked to me about it. He said it was missing my resident permit and he was also supposed to take care of it, but he never did. Then, he decided he wasn't happy where we were living and wanted to move to the other side of the country, with the excuse that he wanted to be closer to his family, so I had to say goodbye to my few friends and so we moved. One day he said he was having trouble with my Austrian debit card, and he asked me the code for my home country bank card. I was with my daughter and just wanted to go home, so I gave it to him so he could finish paying at the supermarket. After that he kept the cards with him almost all the time. Used the ATM and only gave me cash, keeping both of my bank cards. We had a fight, it wasn't physical, and he said he would leave me, as he gave me the cards back. He starts having problems with the landlord, so we moved again. We would stay a couple months and then move. One day before moving day he said that he doesn't have money for the deposit, and I have the option to ask my parents for money or we could sleep under a bridge and take our daughter to an orphanage. That was the moment I stopped trusting him. He had shown me a fake key for our new house for over a week. He used that so that I had to beg my parents for money. It went all to him. He spent a couple €1,000 in maybe 2 or 3 months. When it was time for me to start looking for work, he sabotaged me all the way through. I applied for a job that I liked, but they were taking their time to decide as I didn't speak German very well. Of course I kept looking. As soon as I found one, the day before I started, he made up a story that the first job had contacted him and was giving me a contract, so I shouldn't go for this second job. He even pretended to call the first company, and then he would always say, "You heard me talking to them, didn't you? You understood everything I said, so don't accept that job." I started noticing that his phone calls looked fake. One time the phone even rang in the middle of one of his calls. I was desperate for work because I needed it to have a residence permit in the country, and he wouldn't help me get residency even though we were living together. With luck I ended up finding a job. He stayed with our daughter because he said he was too sick to work. After 1 week he said I have to quit because he can't manage the kid. If I don't quit, he will call them to fire me. After many discussions I stayed at this job, and in the first couple months he still used my bank card. He keeps sending it into overdraft, hundreds in the negative. When my paycheck came it hardly covered everything. Meanwhile, he stayed in the house, said his back hurts, that he doesn't know what type of work he wanted, always making excuses. In my 3rd month of work I found out my wages are starting to get garnished for something he said he paid months ago. He said he will fix it, and he will pay for it, and it is the internet from our first apartment, from when I was pregnant, unemployed, and he said he would always pay for it. After some months our daughter goes to kindergarten, and he ended up finding a job. I kept getting angry because he kept taking my bank card and using it without telling me even though he has his own money. He even went to open a second account in my name to use as his one, where he would keep his money secret from me. I believed he made this account so that the courts couldn't find his account through his name. I have complete access to this account now. Last week he started working late and I came home before him. In the mail there was a late payment notice in my name. Stuff that I never knew wasn't paid. My favorite debt is my last year's birthday gift. He insisted I get new glasses and I wasn't allowed to ask about the price. It was a surprise for me, really lovely, wouldn't you think? Imagine my surprise when I got a letter from the court where I owed the glasses, my birthday gift, and that this letter was the 5th or 6th overdue payment notice. He was hiding my mail and probably tossing it in the trash. I decided to go to the courthouse to see what was up, and I have many debts, some from stuff I have never heard about, some from stuff he said he paid, and some from stuff that he took money from my account to pay. The courthouse said he never paid even €1 for my debts, and his own debts are only being paid through wage garnishing. Now I kept my cards with me, and I am replacing them with new codes. When I said I wanted him to go away, he used our daughter's custody to avoid leaving. Some time ago, he even tried to scare me because if I wanted my daughter, I would have to go through his lawyer, who he claims is one of the best. I'm scared about the future. He has an aggressive personality, and I am afraid when he is alone with our daughter. He never hit me, but I constantly feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I am afraid that my job will fire me, and I wouldn't even be able to collect unemployment. I don't even know if I could take my daughter to my home country with me, so that at least I could live with my parents rent-free. I'm going to see a lawyer tomorrow but don't even have an idea where to start the conversation. I think I may consider therapy also in the future. Update 1. Hello everyone. Last year I posted when I was at an all-time low, and I would like to provide an update on my current situation. I decided to stay in Austria as I still think is the best option for me and my child's future. There are some more details that went into this decision, such as my child having special needs with more significant public support here than in Portugal. She has only Austrian citizenship, and I am unsure how that would turn out if I just left the country with her. I went to a lawyer and his advice was that the first priority was to get myself a place. He indicated a way to secure a social housing apartment through the city council, where I have been staying for the past 6 months with my daughter. After that, the lawyer started to try to get me out of some debts that I hadn't incurred myself and were still in court. Unfortunately, the ones that I have signed or were already thought judgment stayed, and I have started to pay them. I'm lucky that my family helps me, and I am able to manage it. I was also able to get some welfare and mandatory child support. In November, my ex went to jail for the frauds that he had committed. Although he is there until the end of the year, it wouldn't surprise me if he would get extra time, as he had made additional debts and frauds that are still not accounted for in the sentence. He is also labeled as someone untrustworthy by the police and in the nearby community. As this is really a small city, I don't think he has a chance to turn this back on me as the bad guy or something. I have also tried to get sole custody of my daughter, which came through as of last week. Because of him being in jail and not replying to my sole custody request, it was a simpler process than I thought it would be. I would like to thank everyone who commented on my first post. That helped me to realize the severity of the situation and the damage that was already done. It helped cement that decision to leave him as quickly as possible. Update 2. After 6 years, I can proudly say that my life now is pretty boring. I tried to protect my daughter's right to have contact with her father, keeping casual encounters centered around her, always supervised, but that ship also sailed away. As I had suspected, my ex got his sentence extended and stayed over 3 years in jail, where he would get some free weekends and I would let him visit us. As soon as he completed his sentence, he made a last visit, didn't make any more effort to keep contact with us, and refused to pay child support. As much as I think my daughter had this contact right, it stopped making sense. For the last few years, we haven't had any contact with my ex, and the only thing between us is the court-mandated child support, managed through CPS. I keep in contact my daughter's grandmother, but she also hasn't kept in contact with her son, and we hardly speak about him. I retained sole custody and requested dual citizenship for my daughter. She started school in 2021 and everything was pretty ordinary. I didn't particularly like my daughter's school system, so in 2022 we made a leap of faith and packed all our things and moved to Vienna. Everything went way better than I ever thought. The new school is great, we found a good apartment which I was free to decorate as I like, and I was able to keep my pretty boring job. I have complete control of my finances and I am free to make any decision I want. We are in a very stable condition, financially secure, with lots of healthy routines. We started to build a network of friends. I now have contact with my daughter's health association, attend single mothers events, and participate in my neighborhood community gardening project. It is great to feel that I am part of multiple communities. I enjoy my independent life and am so happy that all the reasons that motivated my first Reddit post are just distant memories.